So welcome to CVP analysis. Uh, CVP analysis. It's under marginal costing, under intermediate, and we shall categorize it under pricing decision and advanced level. So the approach is the same. The questions are also somehow same. Now let us start. Let us start.
Hello, maybe if I may ask,
Yes.
are we doing a MA from intermediate or are we in advanced?
It's a common topic. So
Okay,
the notes are the
so-
same.
Okay.
So I know what you are saying. So the important part is the concept. Sawa? Yes?
Yes, okay.
Sawa. So it is, so nimesema for those doing intermediate level, CVP for MA is a topic on itself. So it's a topic on itself. But those doing advanced is under pricing decision. It is under pricing decision. So that's the only tofauti. So intermediate ni topic kivyake, but in advanced is a subtopic under pricing decision. So it's a common thing. So MA, so MA. So fourth volume. Profit analysis. Let us define it. I will not try so much. Let us define it. I hope my board is clear. So when you are joining, tell them to join.
Yeah.
And if you want to say something, you can always say.
Bra,
Yes.
auliza hii CVP tupo
Yes.
ni new topic ama tuko bado ile topic?
For advance, iko under pricing decision. We shall do it under pricing decision.
So tumeanza hiyo topic sai.
Niliwaambia pricing decision. Yes. For what we may, it's a new topic for them. The topic called CVP. For what we may ni CVP as a topic. For advance ni a topic inside a topic. Sawa? That's why niliamua wa combine. Ni save time. We say this is the study. This is the study of relationship. This is the study of the relationship that exists between cost, volume, and profits. Profits. So the study of the relationship which exists between those relationship, the relationship between cost, volume, and profits is what we call cost, volume, profit analysis. I.e., an example for relation, we can say profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. This is a good example. Another example, we can say that profit is equal to P times Q minus A plus B Q, where A is the fixed cost, BQ is the variable cost, where A, you can say the fixed cost, then B times Q is total variable cost. And other relationship which exist. So those are examples of the relation which exist. Another one, we can talk about another relation, profit is equal to selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit minus fixed cost. So when you take price per unit minus the variable cost, then no matter the total quantity, then less fixed cost, we shall also get profit. So there are various relationship which we can talk about, when we are talking about the CVP analysis. That's very important. Now, it's also called another name. It is also called break-even point. Break-even point analysis. Point analysis. So BP. It's also called the BP analysis. The BP analysis. Break-even point analysis. Now let us define what is break-even point analysis. What is break-even point? What is break-even point? Not analysis. Break-even point. Break-even point. What is break-even point? Now, sorry for that. So when we talk about break-even point analysis, this is a study, the same, of the relationship which exists between cost, volume, and profit. Now remember volume, this volume means units. Remember when I talk about volume, we're talking about the units produced and sold. We're talking about the units produced and sold. Now that one is okay. Now break-even point is a point where the company, sorry, where the total revenue, where company's revenue, where company's total revenue equals total cost, equals total cost. So it's a point where the company's total revenue equals to total cost, i.e., there is no profit or loss, or you can say profit or loss is zero, or you can say that profit or loss is equal to zero. Let's see some assumptions. What are those some of the assumptions that we can utilize in this format? Number one, the relationship between cost, volume, and profit. The relationship between cost, volume, and profit is linear. That is number one. The relationship between cost, volume, and profit is linear. That is number one. Tunasema relationship between the cost function. Let's talk about cost function and revenue functions. Functions are linear. So they are linear, not nonlinear. Now, if it is nonlinear, then the aspect of BP will not be there. So BP can only be there on the assumption that the equation is linear. If it is nonlinear, then we forget about BP. Number two, the cost can be separated to either fixed or variable. Another assumption, cost between fixed and variable cost. So the cost can be separated to fixed or variable cost. Hadi hapo tuko sawa? So the cost can be reduced to fixed or variable cost. Talk about fixed cost is assumed to be constant. Fixed cost is assumed to be constant. Number four, talk about selling price per unit is also assumed to be constant. Selling price per unit is assumed to be constant. So it's not changing. So from January to December is assumed to be constant. Variable cost per unit is assumed to be constant. Variable cost is assumed to be constant. There is no scarce resource. There is no scarce resources. Na hii ni uongo. Resources are always scarce, but this assumption assumes that resources are ziko mingi, which ni uongo. But it's an assumption that the resources will always be there. So they make an assumption that the resources will always be there, which ni uongo. Hapo inadanganya kidogo, lakini tuache tuifuate tu vile inasema. Anyway, next, demand is assumed to be equal to supply. Demand equals supply. Meaning no stock out. Now, we shall never run out of stock. We shall always have the stock with you. We shall never run out of stock. So demand is assumed to be equal to supply. Hadi hapo tuko sawa? Inaonekana wasi wangu?
Uko sawa, uko sawa.
Limitation. Yes?
Uko sawa.
Oh. Leo nilikuwa na shida ya net, lakini kama imerudi. So nikifunza mchana ilikuwa inakataa. But I think it is working now. Assumptions. Just say assumptions are the weakness. Are the weakness of CVP analysis. Now you change the assumptions to become the imitation. So always, kwa any swali, if the model has assumptions, the assumption will always be the limitation. Now, for example, the first one. Now, it is not necessarily that the revenue function or cost function is linear. Sometimes it's non-linear. Now, when the equation is non-linear, then this method becomes impossible to operate. That one is a weakness. In case the functions are non-linear, the method becomes difficult to operate. Now, number two, fixed costs can be separated from the variable cost, or fixed costs can be separated from total cost. Also, variable costs can be separated from total cost. In short, you can easily determine which components form fixed cost, which items forms variable cost. But in some cases, it is very difficult to determine which items are fixed, which items are variable. In that case, it becomes a problem. So it becomes a problem when it is hard to determine which item are fixed, which item are variable in that case. So sometimes it's very hard to separate. Next, now fixed costs assumed to be constant. Now you might find that it is constant for the last 2 months, then in a change, then be in a change to another constant figure. So itabaki, yes, it is constant, but it's changing after some period. Maybe for the last 6 months, it equal 100,000. For the next 3 months, you want 10,000. Now, yes, it is fixed, but it might be changing at a constant rate. That is another limitation. Variable selling price and variable cost. Now, unaweza pata price ya kitu ina change. So, yes, price inakuwa ni 200 per shillings. 200 per unit, I mean, so not per shilling. 200 shillings per unit. But unaweza pata leo ni 200 baada ya miezi mbili, maybe geopolitical reason or economic circumstance, you find the selling price is changing. You find that the selling price is changing from time to time. Therefore, when this item is changing from time to time, this method is not applicable. It becomes difficult to handle. Same applies to variable cost. When the variable cost or the cost of material is changing from time to time. So when we talk about variable cost, remember you're talking about direct material. So when direct material is changing from time to time, when the labor is also changing from time to time, now it becomes difficult. Now it is not always constant. So the price of labor is a change, or the price of the material in the market. Now this one is doesn't make any sense. There is no scarce resource. Now we know from the economic point of view, resources are always scarce. So this method is lying to us that resources are, there is no scarce resource. So from the assumption itself, we can see that this is a limitation, because already from the practical view, we know this one is not practical. So the resources are always scarce, and we are chasing them. We are chasing them by minimizing the cost so that we can make use of them. Demand equals to supply. That one, yeah, it keeps changing. That's why we have the equilibrium. Now, sometimes the demand is more than supply, or sometimes supply is more than the demand, and it affects the prices in the market or the production. And that one, we cannot conclude that demand always equal to supply. That one is a lie. So sometimes demand is more than supply, or sometimes supply is more than demand in the market. So those are some of the limitations I was trying to explain. Now, let us see the formulas. So I'm interested with the formulas. That is where I want to jump in. Formulas. So formulas is what I want to focus on. So in the case nipotee, you kindly speak out. Kindly speak out. So formulas, now we shall deal with the 2 items. Number 1, analysis in the units. And then next, so I direct line hivi. I hope it will share. Now this side, itakuwa analysis in the units. Analysis in the units. Now, before we do this one, let us say something. Let us say something tafadhali before we write this one. Hata hakuna haja. andika hapa juu yake, tafuta nafasi uandike for a single product. For a single product. So analysis in units for a single product. So analysis in units for a single product. Then analysis in Kenya shillings. In Kenya shillings for single product. So then for single product. Remember that is for single product. So analysis in Kenya shillings for single product on the other side. Then analysis for in units for single product. Now let us start. Now we say revenue. We start with the revenue. R is equal to P times Q. R is equal to P times Q. Now this one is applicable. Actually, it's applicable this side. Now revenue is equal to P times Q. On the other side, the Q, the units. Now for us to get the total, the Q times price in shillings. Now in this case, we cannot have it. So the revenue in the units, we cannot have it. So that one is fine. Now, let us talk about contribution margin. Number 2, let's talk about contribution margin. Now, contribution margin is equal to P minus V. On the other side, we need contribution margin ratio. So that one is contribution margin ratio. So this one is in units per unit. This one is in shillings. So itakuwa ni P minus V over P, or itakuwa ni CM, contribution margin, over P. Over P. Because back up, that is contribution margin ratio. Sometimes it's also called sales profit ratio. Sales profit ratio. Sales profit ratio. Okay. Now remember it's per unit. Remember it is per unit. Remember it is per unit. Now let's talk about variable cost ratio. This one is the other side. Variable cost ratio. Variable cost ratio. That is VCR. Inakunga CMR. Remember this one is the contribution margin ratio. CMR. Tukumbuke that one is C. Kama ningeiweka hapa ndio muione into bracket, because we shall be using the initials. CMR, contribution margin ratio. Now variable cost ratio is equal to V, variable cost per unit, over selling price per unit. Variable cost per unit over selling price per unit. Selling price per unit. Now, we can also talk about margin of safety. Margin of safety. Margin of safety in sales. The bracket Kenya shillings. So margin of safety is equal to the revenue. This one, revenue minus revenue BEP, break-even point. Revenue BEP. Now, how do we get the revenue BEP? Revenue BEP is equal to fixed cost. Fixed cost, you divide it by the CMR, contribution margin ratio. Now, margin of safety in units. In unit is equal to X minus X BEP. Hapa tutumie X. Let us use this one X. This will confuse. Tutumie hapa X. X equal units. There's to confuse. So tumia hapa revenue ni P times X. So X is the number of units. Then X BEP ni break-even point in units. How do you get it? The fixed cost, you divide it with contribution margin. So this one into bracket. So into bracket CM. Contribution margin day hapa. This one is equal to C CM. That one is in units. The other one is revenue. Now, profit made in shillings. So in shillings. Now in shillings, that one is CMR, contribution margin ratio. We multiply with our X, then we less fixed cost. We less fixed cost. Then we less fixed cost. What about profit made in the units? Itakuwa ni CM times X minus fixed. Minus fixed. Because that one means profit made. That one means profit made. Targeted profit. Targeted profit. Now to get targeted profit. Targeted profit. Itakuwa targeted profit itakuwa ni CMR. Itakuwa kama hiyo ya juu. Itakuwa kama hiyo ya juu. But we shall use CMR times R minus fixed cost. This one is revenue. That one is revenue. And therefore, targeted units. Talk about targeted units. This one will remain the same. Yeah, it change. Let's talk about targeted units in shillings. Itakuwa ni when talk about targeted units, itakuwa ni profits for the targeted plus fixed cost over CMR. Tukuja saidi targeted units. Now this one is targeted sales. Targeted sales. This one is targeted units. Kama ndaiweka aje? Wala tuweke unit is nafaa iwe sales. Wacha niweke S. Targeted sales na targeted units. Kwa sababu kuna units. Itakuwa ni profit plus fixed cost over contribution margin over contribution margin. Pia unaweza ita a revenue target, which is the sales, which is the same as revenue target, which is the same as revenue target. Now let us start explaining what does this figure. Now R is revenue. P is selling price per unit. X the number of units. Number of units produced and sold. What else? V, the variable cost per unit. V, the variable cost per unit. MOS, margin of safety. Margin of safety. X, BEP, the units for breakpoint. For breakpoint units. R, BEP, the revenue for breakpoint. Revenue for breakpoint. Revenue for breakpoint. CMR, contribution margin ratio, that one's okay. X, the R, the revenue. FC, the fixed cost. FC, the fixed cost. FC, the fixed cost. And then AEM, that is the profit made. Then it is targeted. Profit nakati chini, that is targeted. Profits. Targeted profit. RT, the revenue target. Revenue target. Or sales. Or the sales target. Or the sales target. I hope you have consumed everything. Consume kila kitu. That is for a single product. That one is for a single product. Now let us go to multiple products. Let's go to multiple products. So you screenshot kwa ujaandika because I'm what rabbit. So screenshot kwa ujaandika so that we go to multiple products so that we can go to multiple products. PH4 ni nani sasa? Who is PH4?
Nani PH4? Next time join with your name. So next time join with your name. Let's go to multiple products. Multiple products. So next time I will not let anyone in if hajatumia jina yake. So kindly. So let us see multiple products. Multiple products. In the case where we have more than one product, but they share the same cost. But they share the same costs. Yes. Kuna mtu ako na swali? Kuna mtu anasikia? Kuna mtu alikuwa anaongea? So kama uja mute. Let us talk about multiple.
Oh, zombie.
Huyo Unmute tafadhali. Lilian, mute. Lilian. Yes, thank you. Now let's talk about multiple products. Now, when we talk about multiple products, it is where you have more than one product. So the situation where we have one product. Now, let's say this is a concept. So we write. This is a concept used. This is a concept used where there is more than one product which shares the same fixed cost. So this is the concept used. This concept, sorry. This is concept is used. This concept is used where there is more than one product, which shares the same fixed cost. Which shares the same fixed cost. So this is a concept used. This concept is used where there is more than one product which shares the same fixed cost. Which shares the same fixed cost. Which shares the same fixed cost. It uses the concept of weighted average method. It uses the concept of the weighted average method. It uses the concept of the weighted average method. It uses the concept of the weighted average method. Now let us see formulas in units. So analysis in units. Then number one, analysis in units. Then later find analysis in shillings. Number one, profit made is equal to weighted average contribution margin multiplied by X, then less fixed cost. So weighted average contribution margin multiplied by X less fixed cost. Now, units break even. So X in units. X break even. We know it is fixed cost. We divide the weighted average contribution margin. Targeted units is equal to profit. Targeted profit plus fixed cost. We divide the weighted average contribution margin. Then we talk about margin of safety in units. Is equal to X minus X BEP minus X BEP. This is analysis in units. Analysis in the units. You want to get the share side, the other side. Now, let's talk about weighted average contribution margin. This one is weighted average contribution margin. Weighted average contribution margin. Weighted average contribution margin. And how do you get it? This is how you get it. Now, weighted average contribution margin will be equal to the weight of 1. So let us assume 1 is product 1. Let's call it, or call it product A. Let us call it product 1. 1. You divide the contribution margin of product 1 plus product 2, contribution margin of product 2, up to the final product, the weight of product N, CM, and depending the number of products. So we have assumed that we have N products. Y1 is the weight of product in units. Underline the word units and number of products. Number of products. CM, contribution margin of product 1. Contribution margin. Contribution margin. So CM contribution margin. So we have product 1, 2, 3, and so on. That's how we are supposed to talk about that one. Now let us talk about in sales. In sales, which you know sales is in shillings. So analysis in sales, which is, it means it is in value, in money form, not in units. Now, targeted profit itakuwa ni weighted average contribution margin ratio, weighted average contribution margin ratio. You multiply with the revenue. Then you less fixed cost.
Yo,
Then revenue BEP. Revenue BEP. We know it's the
bruh.
fixed cost over weighted average contribution margin ratio.
Mzee,
Yes. Yes.
tumesema hii ya kwanza ni
Gani ya kwanza? Weighted average
hiyo
contribution
hiyo ya
margin
zaidi ya sales.
ratio. Zaidi ya sales. Analysis in sales. In bracket, analysis in Kenya shillings. Because
Hiyo ni targeted
Yes.
profit
ya kwanza per M ni profit made. Then TRT ni targeted revenue. XT ni targeted units. Wacha niwaandikie hapa chini. Nasema hii nilikuwa nimepia hapo nyuma. Mwangalie notes zenyu. Hizo ni profit made. Profit made X BEP ni break even point in units. Break point in units. XT ni targeted units. Targeted units. Na tumesema this one is the weighted average contribution margin. Si iko sawa hivyo? Yes.
Yes, iko sawa.
Haya. Now, RT itakuwa targeted profit plus fixed cost over weighted average contribution margin ratio. Weighted average contribution margin ratio. And we know fixed cost, FC is fixed cost. RT divided revenue
targeted revenue RBP, the revenue break-even point. Revenue breakpoint or breakpoint in revenue. Breakpoint, revenue breakpoint or breakpoint in revenue. Breakpoint in revenue. Adapo tuko sawa watu wangu? Tuko sawa? Nataka tu maybe one question or two questions in intermediate. Then those people from intermediate wanaweza tuacha si tufanye the advance. Let us do two questions in intermediate. Nilikuwa nimetumia past paper. Let us open our past paper. Ateke. Tukusiki, hebu type. Type. So intermediate, open this question, April 2024, question 3B. April 2024, question 3B. April 2024, question 3B. April 2024, question 3B. April 2024, question number 3B. Question number 3B.
Ibra,
In intermediate, fungua hiyo paper intermediate, watumia kwa group. Display the group. Watumia kwa group.
kuna kitu
Unasemaje?
hujatuonyesha? Kuna kitu hujatuonyesha?
Kuonyesha nini hiyo?
Weighted average contribution margin.
Oh, formula.
Bana.
Oh, let me show you. So weighted average contribution margin ratio. Sio ndo mnaongelea? So itakuwa ni weight of 1 CMR of 1 2 CMR plus up to N. Weight of N CMR of N. So we know W is the weight in revenue. Now underline revenue. The other one was weight in units. Now this one is revenue. CMR, this one is the contribution margin ratio. Contribution margin ratio, which you know is CM over P. Iko sawa? Iko swali? Now let's go to a first paper for intermediate level to find swali mbili.
Na margin of
Yes.
safety. Margin of safety.
Ndio?
MOS.
At MS.
Yes, in shillings.
Sikuelewi. MS aje?
Margin of
Oh, margin of safety. Unasema margin of safety in sales.
Yes.
Now that one is revenue minus revenue BEP. Revenue minus revenue BEP. Now let's open our first paper for intermediate. Tuanze na hiyo intermediate, tujikumbushe what we were doing intermediate. Then tufanye maswali za advance. So let us refresh our mind. Kindly let us refresh our mind. Now let's start with this question for MA. Matumie pass by MA intermediate. April 2024. Question 3B. Umefika hapo? Someone to read for us. Ndio niamini umefika. Ya luxury. Someone to read
Kidogo
for us.
niko na
Yes.
kiasi, niko na swali. Hiyo formula ya
Yes.
margin of safety ya nini ya single product ni the same na ya multiple product
The same.
ama uko ni the same?
The same. Bora kupata
Ni
revenue,
sawa.
upate revenue in breakpoint.
Okay.
Now, someone to read for us the question for AP 24 for intermediate level. Yes, someone kujitolea. Now, let me read it. Now, the question reads, Luxury Weekend County Park is an entertainment park that offers individuals and family entry tickets. The tickets include meals, a meal, 3 types of beverage, and unlimited use of swimming pool. Luxury Weekend County Park has the following ticket price and the variable cost as follows. We have the total sales. Ukiona hapo, look at your calculator, Jusina. Variable cost, you have been given cost of material or cost of meal, that's the material cost, labor, variable beverage, and swimming pool. All those costs are assumed to be variable, and therefore when you take sales minus variable cost per ticket, you can a contribution margin. Now, if we were to do this one, let us do analysis. We have family. Now, for us to get contribution margin for family, we notice P minus V, and you have been given pale already. You have only 2400. Now, kama tuko tumepatiwa, we will less all the variable costs. Now, okay, add this all together. Unapata ngapi? Inakupatia 18. Ukiadd hizo zote, hizo variable cost, unapata 1800, so that you can get 900. Now, 900 is our contribution margin in units. So I said it's supposed to be in units. So that one is contribution margin. You take the selling price minus variable cost. Here tumepatiwa. That was good. It is for individual, this one. This is supposed to be for individual. Now we also have family. Contribution margin. So tumepatiwa direct. So kunaweza tuandike. So tunachukua sales minus cost, unapata 1100. It's supposed to be P minus V, of which we have the answer. Contribution margin actually 1100. Fixed cost. Now fixed cost for individual, umetupatia ngapi? Fixed cost iko. Yes, pale chini 33,75,000. So this one is 33,75,000. Then you have a fixed cost here. Yeah, family. Wanatuambia ni 4125. 4125,000. 4125,000. Now, total fixed cost, we need the total fixed cost. Now, this one is multiple product. Now, what is the total? When you add sina calculator for that. So when you add 3375,000 plus 4125,000. Unapata ngapi? Mnipatie hapo 75. So even you have the answer. So 7500. Now requirement. So once we have those information, number one, let us see number one. Now additional information before we go to number one. All the assumption of cost volume are valid. That one is okay. Number two, the total sales mix for the two tickets are as follows. So tumeshapatiwa mix. Now the weight of individual. Let me call it I, the weight for individual. Weight for individual, ameshatupatia. So no need to calculate. 0.6. Then weight for family. So weight for family is 0.4. 0.4. Hebu confirm kama itakuwa ni kweli. Ukichukua sales pale juu. But let me see. Anyway, tumeshapatiwa. Hakuna haja tujipatie kazi ngumu. Now, required part 1. Part 1, compute the weighted average contribution. So weighted average contribution, number 1. Weighted average contribution margin ratio. So compute weighted average contribution margin ratio at the current sales mix. At the current sales mix, these are the current sales mix. We know this weight of I, CMR of I plus weight of family, CMR of family. Now we have the weight. That one is fine. Now we need to find the CMR. CMR, then an individual I. Now what do you say about CMR? So what is the formula for CMR? CMR from our normal formula, we said it's P minus V over P. You remember? P minus V over P. Now it is 900 over. Yes. Yes.
Tumeuliza
Atumeulizwa sikusikii kabisa.
contribution margin weighted average contribution margin ratio.
Ati tumeambiwa
Tumeulizwa ratio. Please.
Wametuambia compute the weighted average contribution margin at the current sales mix. Now, ukiona the word sales mix, just know it's weighted. It's zote mbili. Ukiona the word current mix, kwa sababu mix ni mbili, kumaanisha ni product mbili. You cannot have a mix of one product. Sivyo? Tuko sawa? So it is for what? It is for two products. So that is individual and family. Hajatuambia individual peke yake. Tuko sawa? And already we have the mix. Now the mix for each, which makes 100. Kumaanisha we mix some for individuals, some for family. Katupatia 60% na 40%. Meaning it is two products automatic kulingana na sales mix. Tuko sawa? For weighted, yenye haina weighted contribution margin, yenye haina ratio, kumaanisha it is only for one product na haitakuwa na ratio or the sales mix. Tuko sawa? That one is okay. Now, give me the answer. 900 over 24. Then you also do CMR for family, which we notice 1,100. So we notice P minus V over P, which P minus V ndio hii hapa, contribution margin over sales. Sales ni ngapi kwa swali? 3,000. So give me the answers. Give me the answers. Inakupea ngapi? Yes. Unajua sina calculator. Nisaidie tafadhali. Nisaidie tafadhali. Yes. Mbona ngapi hapa?
0.375.
0.6.
0.375.
Na mwingine? Kwa mwingine?
0.367. 0.3667. Yeah.
367. Now we can find our weighted average contribution margin ratio. We can find our contribution margin ratio. In that case, itakuwa ni 0.6 times 0.365 plus 0.4 and 0.3667. Now, how much is that? So a moment, I'm coming back. Just a moment. Haya, umepata ngapi? Nimerudi.
Hapo tumeweka 900 inafaa kuwa 600.
Wapi hapo?
Contribution
Hapa.
margin.
Kwa swali wametupatia answer kwa swali. Kwa swali ilikuwa ngapi? Oh, 600. 600. Sawa, itakuwa ngapi? Change this one.
0.25.
0.35.
25.
So 0.25 divided by 0.365. 0.4. Maybe nimeomba calculator.
Kwani weight ni
Tutapata 0.23793. Now this is the weighted average contribution margin ratio for that question part 1. Let us go to part B.
haujaweka weight ya 0.6.
0 point.
Weight ni 0.6.
Ongeza sauti kaka.
Asema weight ni 0.6.
0.6. Oh, hey, mambo gani? Okay, so 0.25 times 0.6, 0.4 times 0.0667, which is 0.29668. Hapo sio mbaya, sio iko sawa. Hadi hapo tuko sawa. Haya, let's go to part B. Calculate the total number of tickets that I must sell in order to break even. In order to break even. Now insurance nakwambia X BP. Now X BP, we know it's fixed cost over WACM. Now we need to find this one now. Because wamesema number of tickets. Wajasema number of sales to break even. Wamesema number of tickets to break even. Now let's find this one. Now WACM, we know it is weight of I in units. Remember this one is in sales. So this one is in sales. We cannot use this one. These are in sales. We cannot use that one. So in units. What is the contribution margin? That's the weight of family, the contribution margin of the family. Now let's start by computing the weighted average. You kama inatoshea hapa. The weight of I in units. Now, do you have the units? Paswali? Do we have the units? Let's go back to our question. Yes, 6,000 and 4,000. 6,000 and 4,000. So we start by determining total units. Total units najua ni 6,000 plus 4,000, which makes 10,000 units. Which makes 10,000 units. Now from that one, we can find the weight of I. Now I individual ilikuwa ni 6,000. So 6,000 over 10,000, which is 0.6. Weight of family is 4,000 over 10,000, which is 0.I. Kwa hivyo hizi weight tumepatiwa si za sales, ni za units. Na kwa hiyo swali naona let's go back to our question. Information number 2. The total sales mix. Ni waongo. Now this one nimepatia hapa ni ya units, si ya sales. Compute using sales, niko sure utapata ifiga. Lakini because of examiner ametuambia ni ya sales, let us assume part 1 tunatumia sales. Na tunatumia yenye examiner has provided. So we shall use 0.6 and 0.4. Though part B tumeona za units zinatupatia the same answer, 0.6 and 0.4. So kumaanisha at the end of the day, WACM itakuwa the same. So the weight is the same. So kumaanisha hapa, if you were to calculate WACM, itakuwa the weight of hiyo ni 0.6 times contribution margin. Mlisema 0.25, sivyo? Contribution margin, sorry. Contribution margin ndio hii hapa. 600. Haya. Weight in 0.4. What is the contribution margin? So it's 11. 100. Itakuwa the same. Let us see what is that was 0.6 times 600, 0.4 times 1100. Itakuwa ni 800 units. So the weighted average Now let us find X, B, P, part B. Fixed cost tulipatiwa ni ngapi? Total. So we are going to use the total. 7,500 over 800. 7,500 divided by 800. So how many units? 993, 75 tickets. So these are tickets. Now, this is the number of tickets we need to break even. This is the number of tickets we need to break even. Then ya mwisho, margin of safety. Margin of safety in units or in sales? In units. Good. Hapa ametusaidia sana. Margin of safety in units. We know it is X. Now, our X, where is our X? Day hapa. Total units. Day hapa. 10,000 minus X. So remember the formula for margin of safety? Inaandikia hapa in units. We said it's equals to X minus X BP. Now our X, the total units, 10,000 minus BP, 93.75. So hiyo ni part 3. Part 3 tumemaliza hivyo. Itakuwa ni 10,000 minus 93.75, which is 625 tickets. 625 tickets. 625 tickets. Na mpaka hapo tuko sawa? Kuna amepotea? Kuna amepotea? We can talk. Tumemaliza pati, tumemaliza. Nilikuwa nauliza pati ndio hii hapa. Weighted average contribution margin ratio tumemaliza. Part B, break even point ndio hii hapa 93.75. Part 3 margin of safety 625. 625. 625. Any other question? Before we go to the last part. Siko sawa? I memorize that one. So part 3, as to memorize the question. Part 3 wanasema calculate the number of individual tickets and the number of family tickets. Now that one is for single. So hiyo wamekuuliza direct for single product. So hiyo iko sawa sana. Hiyo wamefanya mzuri sana. So for single product. Tuanze na ya kwanza. So wamekuuliza ya single product pia. Tuanze na individual. Tunafanyia hapa. So hiyo wamefanya mzuri sana kuuliza hiyo. So part 4. So tuanze na ya break even point in units for individual. Unit is fixed cost minus contribution margin. Itakuwa ngapi? Haya. Fixed cost ya huyu ni 33. This one is for individual. The last part ni ya individual or single. Divided with the contribution margin, which is 600. You utapata. Now let's go for contribution. Number of units for family. Unit is fixed cost over CM. Najua ni ngapi? 41, 25. 25,000 over 1,100. So that's the marks the end of that equation. That one marks the end of that equation. So 56.25 tickets. 56.25 tickets. 41,25,000 divided by 1100. That's 750 tickets. Now that marks the end of that question. Any question? Any question? Any questions, Zach?
I think I'm fine.
Yes, yes. So how advanced najua wanaona hiyo kwa iko sawa. So those the items we did in intermediate. Now let me see if you can do another question. Then the rest we can do it tutafanya now advance. Maybe tomorrow fanya mbili tatu ya advance. But those who want to join from intermediate want to be advanced venye iko, it's also okay. Now, but there's this question, I told to put it appending. So keep on pending it. April 2024, we tufanya marginal costing. Question number 1. Number 1B. Number 1B. This is for what we intermediate. Niwaambie swali the previous class. We penned it. Tutafanya marginal costing tunaifanya. But it's fine. So it's high-low method combined with marginal costing, combine 3 topics: high-low method, marginal costing, and CVP analysis inside. So tutafanya in the next class, when we shall be doing marginal costing. So tutafanya B, question number 3B. That one is okay. Let's see if there's another question we can do, then the rest we shall do it in class ya MA peke yake. But those who want to join are also welcome. Now there's this question. This is the question for which sitting? Hapa ni kadogo. December 2023. December 2023. Page 10. December 2023. Question number 2A. 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 This one will be the last question. The last, I think we can meet tomorrow. So this one tutamalizia hapo. So December 2023. So December. So tomorrow I will meet watu nini. So watu intermediate, if you want to join, the link, I will share the link. So if you want, but for tomorrow tafanya is advance. Question number 2A. If you want to join and get to know more, actually not more. For me are the same. Hakuna tofauti. Maswali tu ndio tofauti kidogo. Now, the management account of Alma Ltd provide the following profit settlement for the year ended, that 1st October 2023. We have the revenue at 60, total cost 48, net profit is 12. Number 1, calculate the break-even sales. Number 1, break-even sales. Now, insurance anakuambia revenue BET. And you know this is fixed cost divided by CMR. Now, what's our fixed cost? From the question, do we have fixed cost? Yes. Nakumbuka hii total cost iko na variable ndani na fixed. Now, contribution ratio is 50%. Na kumaanisha hapa hata ashakupatia So kumaanisha contribution is 50% of the total cost. So how much is the total cost? Total cost is 48. 48. So contribution is 50% of 48. So 0.5 times 48, which means 24 million. Now, remember you're interested with BEP. Now, fixed cost itakuwa ngapi? Let's find fixed cost. Itakuwa ni total cost, which is 48. We minus tunafaa kuchukua ngapi? How do you get the fixed cost? So tuanze na sales. Let us just do sales, total cost, and contribution. Then profits, I mean. Then profits. So hapa tunajua ni 48. Sales ilikuwa ngapi? 60 na 60. Inakaa hivi, watuani 12. Now you need to separate here. So we get the fixed cost, and also we get the variable cost. Now from the question we know that our contribution is 24. So kumaanisha tukichukua sales ni 60. Haya. Then we know our contribution ni ngapi? Tunajua contribution yetu ni ngapi? 24. Now what will be our variable cost? So which item tuta minus? Tutabaki hapo. So 64 minus 24. So 40. So we need to less 40 to get 24. But remember our net profit. Remember our net profit ni ngapi? Our net profit tumeambiwa ni 12. Now how am I doing this? To get our net profit, that will be our fixed cost. So how much have we less to get that one? So to my less, I think 12. To get 12. So meaning our fixed cost is 12. Our variable cost is 24. Is 24. Now tukishajua hivyo, tunakuja kuandika R BEP will be equal to fixed cost 12 million over. So remember, CMR is P minus V over P. Now, because it's supposed to be in units, now I'm repeating in million, everything will cancel out. Tukiweka hapa. Let us see if it will cancel out. Tukisema 64 minus 40 over 64. So ita cancel out. So kama ilikuwa ni million, ita cancel out kwa sababu 64 ni million na 40. Ita cancel out. So itabaki tu per value or per unit. So everything will cancel out. Now, what will be the answer? Itakuwa ngapi? So 64 minus 40 divided by 64. Itakuwa ni 12 over 0.375. So 12 divided by answer. So total revenue, 32 million to break even. So the amount of revenue to break even is 32 million. Then imeona hapo chini wanauliza margin of safety in Kenya shillings or in sales. We know it is revenue minus revenue BEP. What's our revenue? Ndio hapa 60 minus 32. So 60 minus 32, which is 28 million. Now we meet tomorrow. We meet tomorrow. Any question? Now for part B, question number 2, part B, we shall do it when we shall be doing marginal costing decision. So that one, that's here hadi hapo. Hadi hapo tuko sawa? Palma?
Palma ako sawa.
Hao wengine kuna nani? Kuna
Captain.
yes, Captain. CJ.
Tuko sawa.
Now we meet tomorrow. So tomorrow, same time, we shall try to meet from 7. Advanced MA. We do some of the questions in advance. Now those in intermediate, if you want to join, the questions are the same. You can just join. Some of the questions appears in intermediate, but they're in advance. Then also you open to join if you want. Tomorrow from 7. If you want, you can tell me to share with you the link. Now with that one, we call it a day. We meet tomorrow for advance to do the questions.